All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I am your host, Phil. Let's take a look at the stories we are going to dive into today. All right. So I know that the markets have been quote unquote down, right? While we're dead at like 111K. But look, I've got a whole bunch of hopium. I got tons of hopium, all right? Bitcoin's going to the frickin' moon. We're going to take a look at all this wonderful hopium and how we're just getting filled up with it. We got some paper Bitcoin summer updates. That's right. Blackrock, some EV car manufacturer, some company name with a ticker symbol Otter. The name of the company is Autris. Anyways, very interesting stuff. We are going to take a look at it. Is the Santa Claus rally loading? Maybe that's happening. SBR updates. I know that this is going to be, it's not good. It's not good. But at least it's honest. So we're going to see what the actual comments were about the SBR update. And you guys may have seen a post about Northern Trust and some $493 million mstr purchase or something like that. Anyways, we're going to dive into that story because as you could imagine, it's not what it seems. Not what it seems. Anyways, all right, you know the deal. Before we dive into all that fun stuff, we're going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor. We're going to be back in about 20 seconds. And yeah, we're going to dive right into the hopium and start having some fun. Here we go, guys.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
All right, we're going to kick it off with my favorite form of hopium. How much Bitcoin do you need to retire by 2035? And that's right, hat tip to Sminston_with for this awesome graphic, right? That was provided to BTC Archive. Now, look, I mean, you know, it's I'm going to be ethnocentric because I'm in the United States, but I got to tell you, it's taking less and less Bitcoin to retire. And it's moving along a whole lot faster. And essentially, in case you haven't figured it out, the younger you are, the less Bitcoin it takes to retire. That is sweet. I can totally live with that. Okay. Hold on, we got some more hopium. All right, let's dive into some. You know what? Let's just bring up the man himself. Where is it? Saylor. Let's dive into some Saylor hopium right away.
I think the real story in Bitcoin right now is corporate adoption. We've got a consistent acquisition of Bitcoin by the big ETFs like Blackrock, and that's taking up all the natural supply, and they're doing that on behalf of institutional investors. But these 180 companies that are capitalizing on Bitcoin are buying even more than the natural supply being created by the miners, and they're putting upward pressure on the price. And I think that as we work through,
we're not seeing that today. Just saying.
The resistance of late and some macro headwinds, will actually see Bitcoin start to move up smartly again toward the end of the year.
Okay. All right. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see what Arthur Hayes had to say.
Star is 2028, end of 2028, when Trump and his cronies leave office, that, you know, in their wake, Bitcoin could be in the million.
Okay, we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait 3 more years for Bitcoin to hit the million, according to Arthur Hayes.
Plus range because of all the money that they printed between now and the end of their term.
We're at the end of September. The end of the year is coming really soon, and we're not close to 250,000. What has that?
No, we sure aren't. We sure aren't close to 250 at all. Granted, we're closer to 250 than we were to 60. So, well, no, that's not true either. But either way, we broke the psychological barrier of 100K.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's really too bad. Okay, so here we've got some unlikely hopium coming from not just me, but like I think quite a few Bitcoin supporters deem Brian Armstrong a bit of an enemy of Bitcoin, if not a lot of an enemy of Bitcoin. Let's dive in to see what he had to say about this.
And there's a couple of big tailwinds now, which lead me to think that there's a good chance Bitcoin could be at $1 million per coin, by 2030 or so. And that's partly it's the regulatory clarity that's emerging.
Okay. 2030, 2028. Gotta tell you, it's a little bit further away than the $1 million Bitcoin that was promised about a year ago during this cycle. Just saying. We gonna get a Santa Claus rally? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't I don't know if I'd bank on it. Yeah. Yeah, Brian Armstrong definitely looks like the BTC Lex Luthor. However, I think that Portland kind of has a bit of a I think he's a solid contender for Bitcoin Lex Luthor. Okay, anyways, moving on. Let's go take a look at, you know what? Let's just dive into the paper Bitcoin stuff. It's fun. Let's see. Chinese publicly traded, I'm going to destroy this name. Is it Juizy? I don't know. Holdings approves up to $1 billion investment in Bitcoin and crypto. Nothing stops this train except reality. Reality stops this frickin' train. Let's dive into their financials a little bit here. Anyways, first, let's take a look at the story. Its board of directors authorized the firm to deploy. It's great, right? It makes it sound like they have this money. I love it. Yeah, we've authorized the firm to deploy up to $1 billion in acquiring and holding Bitcoin, ETH, and BNB. Shares of JZXN jumped as high as $2.38 on the news, a 47 spike above its Tuesday closing price before retracing completely. It's almost like people knew it was a pump and dump. No way. JZXN is down more than 99% in the last 5 years. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Okay, so just remember, right? They're going to deploy $1 billion. Yeah, let's take a look. Shareholders have been substantially diluted over the past year. All right, whatever. Has less than 1 year of cash runway. But I thought they were going to deploy $1 billion. What? You don't even have 1 year of cash runway. Where's that $1 billion come from? Yeah, someone's going to be taking that L. Makes less than $1 million in revenue. Huh? 97K a year. They're going to deploy $1 billion. What the hell? Earnings have declined by 69%. Oh, but Phil, there's still hope. You're probably totally wrong about this. This isn't just a pump and dump. Yes, it is. Okay. As you know, I always like to pull up the monthly chart because why not, right? Let's take a look at this stuff. Ah, man, that pattern looks familiar. I guess this is what winning looks like, right? This is what the influencers would have you believe, that this is what winning looks like. Okay, so as you can clearly see, this is just a giant dump pattern. Company IPO'd in 2021. Oh, look at that. Reverse splits. Always a sign of businesses doing very well and most likely going to be able to sustain this behavior in the future, right? Okay, so they did a 1-for-18 reverse split. So as you guys know, I always go through this, right? If you had 18 shares, you now only have 1. And as you can see, the value continues to decline. Not fun. Oh, but wait. They had to shore up more funds to keep this thing alive. Right? A 1-for-13. So now all of a sudden, if you had those 18 shares and you're down to 1, you don't even have 1 share. At that point, in those situations, I believe they just cash you out. But in essence, right, if you had 13 shares left, well, now you have 1. So, yeah. Reverse splits, guys, when you see this in companies, just freaking run. Just run. It is pure garbage. Absolute garbage. Okay. Anyways, that's the beginning of Paper Summer Bitcoin. But wait, there is more Paper Summer Bitcoin to be had. Let's continue. Blackrock and Fidelity spot Bitcoin ETFs dated combined 2.27 billion in trading volume today. And you know what? The only silver lining I can see to this is that we're seeing tons of volume trading back and forth. And for the most part, I believe that Bitcoin is fairly stable. So maybe we can take that as support and a floor building, right? But yeah, this is it's just daily hype that doesn't really do anything. I mean, at the end of the day, right, these ETFs, they have to buy and they essentially have to buy and sell the Bitcoin based on the shares that are bought and sold. So it's not BlackRock that holds all that Bitcoin. BlackRock, as Ulrich found for us, BlackRock themselves actually only hold 6 Bitcoin, right? So when you think of all those wonderful words that Larry's telling you about how amazing Bitcoin is and all that good stuff, just remember them as a corporation themselves only hold about 6 Bitcoin, okay? All that other Bitcoin that we keep hearing about, the hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, that's in the ETF. That's for their customers. So when he's telling you, when Larry Fink is telling you about the virtues of Bitcoin, he's talking about it for his customers to buy the shares of the ETF. Anyways, yeah, I know. Sales is sales. All right, let's continue. We've got some more paper Bitcoin summer on the way. Let's frickin' go. All right, AUTR. This one was pretty interesting, right? Panamanian Bitcoin Treasury Company, AUTR, or ticker AUTR, acquires a Bitcoin firm, Bitcore Capital. Okay, let's take a look at the little financial snapshot from these guys. So it's interesting. So through its subsidiary, Nitro Heat LLC assembles and supplies nitrogen generators, air filtration systems, compressed air heaters, and heated hoses. Interesting. But they're also going to be a Bitcoin treasury company. Is there any way that there's somebody over there that is actually going to figure out how to leverage the products that they create for Bitcoin mining? I don't know. Anyways, be cool though, right? Latest financial reports are more than a year old, which means nobody really knows what their actual numbers are right now. And of course, shareholders have been substantially diluted over the past year. And I mean, high volatility in the price, I just don't really care about that. Volatility is opportunity. Anybody that's telling you it isn't, they're probably lying or afraid of volatility. That being said, they've got an interesting chart. Very interesting chart. Oh, God. Yeah, this is from 2014, right? It kind of pumped, went completely flat dead, and now has, pumped, dumped, and now pumped again. But the thing is, I went to go take a look at how much volume they actually have. Not that it matters, but it kind of matters. 6,000 shares traded yesterday. 6,000. It's like one, and it's 70 cents per share. So, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Granted, you could just say, oh, well, this company is relatively unknown. Maybe that's an excuse. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Moving on here from the paper Bitcoin summer. Let's see what is up on deck. Okay. Yeah, we are going to talk about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Here we go. You may have seen this yesterday. U.S. Treasury confirms no Bitcoin in America's reserve. Despite Trump's orders, Treasury confirms no reports from agencies to move Bitcoin or crypto into the strategic Bitcoin reserve or digital asset stockpile. Now, there is more to this. There is actually more to this. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reiterated that the government, and guys, this is right, when you see all of these fucking cheerleaders that sit there and telling you constantly that the U.S. government's going to buy Bitcoin, they're going to buy Bitcoin, they're going to print to buy Bitcoin. Guys, I know we want to believe that they care about Bitcoin as much as we do and see how important Bitcoin is as much as we do, but they don't, okay? You cannot expect the government with the most power in the world to see beyond its own power as an entity, right? It's quite possible that individuals in the government can see that, but the government as a whole, like that, no, they are the ultimate power for that country. Anyways, so they would not be buying additional Bitcoin for the strategic reserve. But wait, that may indicate that they've bought some, right? Bessent confirmed that already seized assets would continue to be held. No Bitcoin would be sold, so this is kind of weird, in the immediate future, and the further seizures could add to the government's holdings over time. They're not buying shit, okay? We're not going to be buying Bitcoin, but we're going to use confiscated assets and continue to build that. They're going to build a stockpile of confiscated assets. So all of these ridiculous cheerleaders, right, that keep telling you the government's going to buy Bitcoin, right? The freaking Dennis Porters and all of these ridiculous, it's fucking lies. It's just lies. These people have no intention in buying any of this. Okay? Sorry. I know it sucks, right? Like, and again, I'm the one that ends up suffering for telling you guys the truth, because if I just freaking lied to everyone, more people would pay attention. But guess what? Then I'd have to actually be responsible for that, right? And that kind of sucks. So it's much easier for me to be responsible about the truth, and there you go, right? I don't have to make up a story. I just simply have to say, hey, this is my source. All right, moving on. Got some more fun here. Let's go take a look. Oh yeah, Northern Trust. Okay, so this is I have to do a little bit of digging on this one. This is all right. Let me pull this one up. You probably saw, hold on here, fake news. Let's go. Okay. It's nice when the self-proclaimed Bitcoin historian gives you fake news, right? Isn't that wonderful? So here we go. Just in $1.3 trillion Northern Trust, right? Because it matters, right? Back in the day, it was a bunch of us broke plebs buying Bitcoin, and we were, we felt good about it, right? People that did not have the means, but yet we were stacking as hard as we could. That used to matter. Now we just care about these. It matters how big these businesses are. Just revealed they bought, right? So keep in mind the wording. They just revealed that they bought $493 million worth of Bitcoin exposure via MSTR. Let's dive into this story, because it is not entirely accurate, because when you go and look that up, all there is 3 different Twitter accounts referencing each other. Okay? That's all there is. 3 different accounts referencing each other. So let's go take a look, right? The exact phrasing matches multiple copy-paste reports from crypto-focused accounts. Here you go. You've got the accounts up here. No confirming news sources. Not a single one, guys. Not a single one. But you can see where the information came together. Here it is. Recent articles discuss institutional MSTR inflows, Norway's $1.1 billion stake, or a Northern Trust division disclosing a $31.6 million purchase in MSTR September 24th. But nothing approaches the $493 million from Northern Trust itself. Regulatory filings. Northern Trust must disclose quarterly holdings via the SEC Form 13F. Their latest filing was submitted August 13th. It does not list a $493 million MSTR position. Now, that doesn't mean that their position may not increase, right? That's not what that means. But it does mean that this information that we are being given is not entirely accurate. And as of right now, Northern Trust's overall MSTR exposure is about 1 to 2 million based on prior quarters. There's no Q3 2025 filings yet, okay? And Northern Trust SEC page doesn't actually confirm any recent updates regarding MSTR. So what happened was that $31 million purchase from the division, right? That was framed as Northern Trust purchasing outright $493 million of MSTR. Now, they may end up having $493 million worth of MSTR in total. But that is not what actually happened. There was no $493 million purchase. Okay? Do better. Do better, guys. I'm just some fucking random pleb. that goes and looks things up. Like, these are the institutions, right? They have millions of followers. They're getting millions of dollars in advertising. It's fucking lying to us. Anyways, guys, have a great day. And yeah, hopefully we come out of this lull and we break through and we get to have our little Santa Claus rally. Believe me, I am hoping for this freaking Santa Claus rally, but I'm not holding my breath. Hoping, but not holding my breath. Yeah, exactly. Spider-Man meme. Spider-Man man meme. Try to say that 10 times fast. All right, guys, have a great day. I will catch you all. What is today? Thursday? Yeah, Friday. We don't have a guest tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some news once again. But Saturday, I am going to have Need Creations join me on the show, and another gentleman named Jeff. And they, I guess they're hosting Camp Nakamoto in New Hampshire. I believe that is October 10th. I will have the exact dates for you guys anyways on Saturday. But yeah, we're going to sit down, talk about everything Camp Nakamoto. And look, I think there might even be some, dare I say, discussion of some core knots stuff because why not, right? It's contentious. Anyways, all right, guys, have a great rest of the day. I will catch you all tomorrow. Take it easy.